Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa. Today, I am for I am joining us again. He created an amazing post over there on the Mighty Lair on DEN.SOCIal. I'm inviting all of you guys to join us over there. If you join, and then I can give you some energy and for your participation. We're going to be doing some contests or something. We're kind of playing around over there, and I can give you what's called a lot or LAIR ownership token, where you can start earning energy and be able to vote on things, and we can like play around with our own little kind of DAO cryptocurrency thing. So I'm inviting you guys to join me. There's a link in the description where you can join. It doesn't cost anything. It's you just need an email. So join the Mighty Lair on DEN.SOCIal and jump in the conversation with us. I'll be right back with I Am for I Am right after this. Welcome back. I Am. Good to have you.
Good to be back. Good to be back. I survived Father's Day.
Oh, yes. Happy Father's Day. Yeah.
Hey,
We had
how was your husband's celebration?
it was really nice. His daughter came over, and we had a really nice dinner, and he cooked for us. So
No.
celebrating what a great dad he is, and how he contributes to the family. But we had a nice family evening, and we watched no, it's not called Game of Thrones anymore. It's called House of Dragons.
Oh, okay.
And I was thinking about our friends over at Dracaria, and they're getting ready to. They offered me an opportunity to maybe give away some key pairs, and so maybe we'll work that into our show. And
Yeah,
have a
that's great.
contest or something
That'd be
with the
fun.
Mighty Lair. That'd be fun. So I'll get with them on.
Happy Father's Day, belated for all the fathers out there.
Yes, to all the
Watching
fathers out there. So you wrote a post over on the Mighty Lair about why you're an agorist, or the reason for agorism.
And I like the two memes I had to put up there with it.
Yes.
You claim you know your government history, but you still trust the government. Oh, I know.
That was pretty good.
The memes. But yeah, I figured it was time to explain a little bit how I came to this conclusion. And we all have our own journeys, and we all have our own ideas and beliefs and understanding of what's transpired in history and all that good stuff. And so I thought I would kind of talk about it, but we won't go through the whole long post or read, but I'll go through some of the highlights. But yeah, I always like this. And then they say, I trust the government. They're like, I saw that go, I got to put that in there.
Oh, that's pretty good.
So anyway, that really comes down to it, is how much you trust central power, right?
Right.
And so I guess I've kind of tilted the scale all the way over, saying, no, I don't trust it so much. It doesn't matter if it's this way or this way.
Right.
But
well, I think that's that conversation of where, we were kind of talking about the other day on World Blockchain Roundtable, where we're really diving into this, like voting and, the vote. And I'm like, you know what? Like, we're having this conversation about voting, but then look where we are in Congress right now, that, if you believe that your vote mattered or not, but once they get in there, they won't take your phone calls. They won't answer your emails. They do whatever the heck they wanted. Right. There's no accountability or enforcement for them representing. There's no representation of we the people once these individuals, these servants, get into a position of power. Yeah. And that's really where it's so broken.
And there's your trust, right? There you go. The trust again. It's like the current Speaker of the House. They talk about MTG talking about what happened to him. How did he switch so much? And really comes the question is the CIA or intelligence or wherever, or military industrial state, or who in complex, who is it that is are they being bribed, extorted to vote a certain way.
Right.
The majority of the population did not want us to fund Ukraine this
Right.
last go around, but they ignored it. It was like a 70% no, but they ignored that.
Right.
Anyway, so why am I an agorist or or agorism? What? And well, we talked about 2 shows ago what an agorist is. If you could scroll down to, I think you there's an image that says the New Libertarian Manifesto, or
Okay.
keep going. Next one. Oh, next one right there. That one. If you ever wanted to know where the term agorism came from, it came from this dude who looks a little strange, and he has passed. His name was Samuel Edward Konkin III. Brilliant mind, amazing mind. And I think he was actually a chemist, something
Oh.
like MIT. So this guy was incredibly smart, and he came up with the idea of counter economics. And well, it wasn't his idea, but he put it into a manifesto of, because they call it an offshoot of libertarianism, or and I don't like it because I don't consider myself a libertarian.
I was going to say the Libertarian Party has gone a little awry lately.
Boy, yes. And it's also, the libertarians have also been known to be kind of like trying to herd cats.
Oh.
But anyway, Samuel Konkin came up with the idea of counter economics, and that's what agorism is, or agorism, however you want to pronounce it. Remember, agora means market. The ancient Greeks had this market, and they would, trade freely. It was a free market, and at that location, they would also talk about politics, and this is where we talk about like boycotts and boycotts and support like-minded individuals, building parallel systems, parallel economies, supporting other things that work against maybe big tech, like say DEN.SOCIAL, things like that. And that's what the parallelism. But Westwood nails it all the time. He is very eloquent when he talks about don't feed the vampires, right? He's so good at that, because that's really what it boils down to. It's voting with your wallet, choosing who you want to feed, and maybe you should feed yourself first. And if we shrink their power, shrink their influence over us by not providing them dollars, and use more gray and black markets and this kind of thing, maybe homeschooling, chickens, and getting your own eggs and doing your own garden, even if you only can harvest a little bit of broccoli or tomatoes or something, that's just less that you're maybe buying from a supermarket that is sending money to lobbyists that work against you.
Right.
And so that's the concept of counter economics, agorism. So why and how did I get here? If you could scroll down to that next image. Have you heard of the Liberty Tree?
I have not heard of the Liberty Tree.
Okay, this is cool. And this is where I really link the Liberty Tree and Agora, the market. Back in Boston, 1765, people would gather around. It was a tree that was probably close to downtown center of Boston. And they would, that was kind of a marketplace, but it was also a place of talking about freedom and liberties, and talking about their displeasure with the crown. And so this is where the Liberty Tree, or the Tree of Freedom, and we've heard those conversations and those
like the town square.
Yeah, exactly. And the Liberty Tree. And unfortunately, the loyalists, those that were closest to the king, they didn't want these free market thinkers or these idea of individual sovereignty thinkers to propagate in society. And they thought maybe to censor them, we could cut down this tree. So they cut down the Liberty Tree. The loyalists did. Wow. Yeah. But if you scroll down to the next one, this is kind of where I wanted to use kind of a metaphor of what agorism is. And it's nurturing the growth of a fire-resistant Liberty Tree. So imagine, if you will, that we're all live in a forest, beautiful forest, and every tree represents each of us. And everyone's tree is a different variety, different shape, different size, different way of thinking. But we all have free agency or freedom to choose. We have inalienable rights. Every tree is beautiful because it's born with inalienable rights, that the rights don't come from government. And it's a beautiful forest. But outside of that forest is this ugly ogre of a government that wants to burn it down because they want to censor us and they want to strip us of these inalienable rights, these God-given, liberty and voice. And some of us think that we can work within, we can vote someone else into power and that they'll change it. We can drain the swamp, or we can do all these other things. We can change laws, we can change regulations. And the agorist or agorist in me believed this wholeheartedly and did the whole thing of going to, the state capitol to try to get a law passed that was very popular amongst the people. And wow, did I learn something. So this is where that tie-in of we are individual trees of liberty. And that even though the original tree of liberty in this country was chopped down by the loyalists to the crown, they didn't chop us all down, right? We still have liberty within us, individual sovereignty. So if you scroll to the next picture, that's kind of the idea. We have this huge Goliath now. We got this massive government, which is centralized. It has all of these ugliness. They have, endless wars. They have all of the, the history that we think about, the false flags, the Gulf of Tonkin and the Vietnam War, which we've now found that the Gulf of Tonkin was not true. We've grown this massive federal bureaucracy that is writing and enforcing rules that are not laws passed by the legislation. Our representatives really represent the donor class or the big money, or they've been bribed, co-opted, forced, extorted, whatever you want to call it. And we think we can vote and change it, but in my opinion, maybe it's too far gone. We've had all kinds of things. Look what we've had just recently. We'll go backwards. 2020. Was it really a election or selection? And was it manipulated? Courts say no, but I think the audience has a different viewpoint on this. The other thing is we have, the great infection and trust the science and all of that ugliness that was propaganda, all that propaganda that's spewed from our government. Another distrust function, the war on terror, the war on drugs. The war on drugs, AA has done more on the fight against addiction than the war on drugs has by our own country. And I think this is where that mafia cartel thing is kind of intertwined with our own government. But that's just me, some guy on the internet talking. So these, going back all the way to taking us off the gold standard, the character assassination of Nixon, JFK, RFK, the military industrial complex growing and growing and growing, the vote for Ukraine, even though the people said no, this last time and this last go around. So my stint at the state capitol, where I found out that really they don't vote per the people anymore. They vote by the donor class. They vote who has the biggest lobbyist, who has the biggest money, and problems don't get solved. Why don't they get solved? Because they don't want them solved. They want you to come back next year with more money. So they're going to work out a compromise, a solution in the hallway where there's no cameras, there's no microphones. And that's how our government has worked. And so I said to myself, after my political journeys, there's got to be another way. And I wasn't one of these that says, I'm going to be an anarchist and wear black and go into the streets and riot and cause mayhem. And no, that's not me. I'm very peaceful, and I'm tired of these endless wars. And I believe everything should be voluntary. And I believe me personally, I believe that taxation is theft. It's coerced and not voluntary. We did well as a nation before, the income tax and the Federal Reserve were created. Right. So the Tuskegee, it goes on and on and on. The distrust in our own, institution at a formal federal level, and I think I'll quote Ron Paul. There's been a coup, and who knows when, where, and how, but I believe that there's still white hats there. And no, I'm not against all the civil servants that are working hard every day to do what they do. They think they're doing what is the right thing. It's gotten to be a giant bureaucratic mess. So how do we fix it? Agorism, counter economics. If you could go to the next image, maybe. I'm trying to remember what it is. In this post, I listed all this ugliness of government by way of that.
I think we will go back up to this call to action.
Sure, there you go. Yes, don't despair. There is a way out, and it might happen faster than you think. If CBDCs are forced upon us and it turns into being kind of like China, this is where the crypto and gold and silver as means of exchange. This is where it's all comes down to. Agorism means action, and developing those before those things happen. Developing those things before there's a major collapse, preparing yourself, getting to know your community around you. Who's got the guns and who's got the extra protein in their closet?
Could there be speaking of a call to action and giving some people some ideas, could you see a scenario where, let's say they did roll out a CBDC, could there be a silver squeeze patriot movement where everybody dumped their CBDC into physical silver and or crypto and busted the CBDC?
Oh, I would love that idea. I would love that idea if that could be done. And I'm going to tell you why I strongly think it will never happen that way. Because the CBDC is controllable money. Controllable money means they can tell you, sorry, you've bought your allotment of silver for this month. You can't buy any more.
Right.
And they can turn it off.
Freeze your account.
You can't go beyond 25 miles of your home because you already did that last month. And because it's about the climate, remember?
Right. They can freeze your account. They can charge back your money, all the things. Yeah.
I would love it if we could do that short squeeze on silver and gold or other assets, even copper or whatever we could use, and turn it on its face. Yeah, but I don't think so. I think once they're enacted, it's forced upon us. I don't think we'll have that choice. We might in the beginning, right? But they're only, most of us live paycheck to paycheck. And so we have to think in terms of, what can I do right now? Who am I spending my money and my energy with right now? Is it worth it to pay an extra dollar? And maybe, I don't know, I don't know, I don't use it, but let's say Patriot Mobile. Is it better for me to spend an extra dollar or two and switch to Patriot Mobile from another carrier because Patriot Mobile lines up more with my ideals, my beliefs? These are the kinds of things that we need to ask ourselves and start planning. And call to action is getting to know crypto, maybe buying extra silver and gold while you can. And if they limit your amount of money that you can buy for beef or whatever, or travel, maybe you'll have that silver that you can pull out of your pocket. And I'm particularly more, I like silver better than gold personally, but maybe you could pull that out of your pocket and pay for that gasoline to, go see family member who needs you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, or that you could go get eggs from or trade beef with or whatever that you need to do.
And I'm going to tell you, seeing, and feeling the loss of country is hard. It hurts. It's worth crying about and feeling down and depressed. The hope is that we are waking up. We are seeing this. People are talking about their distrust in institutions. They're talking about, no, we need to think about our borders first before other borders. People are waking up and they're getting fed up and tired, and maybe that's why. And look at Biden. Biden is not in control of himself. Biden is not in control of his faculties, and yet he's running again. And who knows if he'll make it even to November, or what's going to happen between now and transpire between now and November.
Right.
But
There's
that
all
gives
the
you
noise around them taking him out, and all the Dems are
right.
saying they're going to take him out. And yeah.
So whoever gets there, we can't hold. Maybe it will slow the plane crash or the wreck or but ultimately I think this everything bubble that is everywhere globally is going to rear its ugly head, and we got to pay the piper. So we have to prepare. That's one of the reasons of being a prepper. One of the reasons of being a prepper, in my opinion, is the fear of CBDCs coming. The reasons for being a prepper might be a CME from the sun, and we dodged some bullets here recently as our shield is weakening. So agorism kind of ties into all that. That tree of liberty, Lisa, and people watching and listening to this, you have individual votes, and that individual vote is the amount of money you have in your wallet.
Mm-hmm.
And you have the ability to change, to create change. You have the ability to share that information, that knowledge. Or when someone, Westwood is great at this, hey, this is what, can I pay with crypto? Can I play with Litecoin? Well, what is Litecoin? Ding, 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 ding. It's the opportunity for teaching. It's the educational moment. Lockdowns was another great, inspiration for people to start questioning. And so there's the hope. The hope is counter economics. I firmly believe.
And now we're seeing that our judicial system is broken as well, whether they're going after Trump or the crazy stuff going on with Reggie Middleton. You guys, when we get done here, I would just challenge everybody to jump over and watch Sarah Westall. She interviewed Reggie the other day and posted it just today, and I think this just came out about an hour ago. And so she is highlighting that they've frozen his assets, and he's being just targeted. And we know the timing of this is all, remember that his patents are about peer-to-peer transaction. Like, he has the patents for DeFi, for Wall Street, all of that. And so if the system is crumbling, which today there was the BlackRock CEO saying, like, this is not working and not going to continue to work. If the timing of all this is just too perfect for it not to be a targeted attack. And so I would just ask you guys to check that out. There are ways to get involved in the fight, but you need to make your decision on your own. This is where it's time for us to grow up, and it's time for us to take responsibility for ourselves and stop asking the government to fix something for us. And these are ways that you can take action and be a part of the solution, but you have to decide to do it.
That's right. That's right. You are a warrior in this fight as well. Homeschooling is just another way of doing it. Not sending your kid to, government schools. That's just another example. It's another counter economic function. There's countless ways.
This is where we have to do it with our health, our wealth, our personal safety, education, all of the things. We have to take personal responsibility, and that's where we find freedom.
This Reggie thing, that's another example. What they're doing to Joe Rogan with Dragon Chain, another example. Exactly. What they did to Library, Kaufman, another example. All of these things is, it's kind of like ding, 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 ding. It's timing, and it's on purpose. It's premeditated. It's planned. And it's downright evil and wrong. And that's how we upset the apple cart. Don't give them our energy. Don't feed the vampires.
Don't let them cut down that tree of liberty.
Right.
For sure. So thank you so much for joining me. I love these. I hope we keep doing them. You guys join us over on the Mighty LAIR. There's a link in the description. Go watch that Sarah Westall interview with Reggie, and go plant your tree of freedom and liberty.
And I'll give you everyone a challenge. You go to DEN.SOCIAL and go to there's a layer called, layers are like categories, kind of like Reddit. There's a layer called Introduce Yourself. Introduce yourself there, and I'll throw you a lot of energy. I'll give you a tip if you start posting frequently. But more importantly, go to the Mighty LAIR and tell us what you want me to talk about next week, and what you want Lisa and I to talk about, and share and import and download, export, whatever.
All the things. You can ask us all kinds of questions. Yeah. All right. And in fact, yeah, we'll do some kind of challenge on there. Maybe have an opportunity for them to either join us on the show for comments or something. I don't know. We'll get creative. I'm going to talk to